Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Hope so you all are fine. Students, today we are going to discuss about the functions of kidney. We know very well about the kidney and we have learned the structure of the kidney and nephron. But what is the function of the kidney? We know that the function of kidney is urine formation. How it used to form the urine? The kidney used to form the urine in the three major steps. The first one is the pressure filtration, selective reabsorption, and the third one is a tubular secretion. So before going on, we should know some basic things. Let's see. We all know that this is the nephron, but where the filtration pressure used to occur. One thing which you have to keep in your mind is that the blood used to enter into the glomerulus through the artery, and from the arteries to the arterioles, and then from the arterioles to the glomerular, that is a network of the capillary. Next to the glomerulus, we all know that there is the Bowman capsule. And next to the Bowman capsule, there is a renal tubule, proximal convoluted tubule, and then loop of Henle, and then the distal convoluted tubule. But one major thing which you have to keep in your mind is that the nephron is basically covered by the network of the network of the blood vessels. You can see that there are many blood vessels are there. So the nephron is covered by the network of the blood vessels. You can see here the whole nephron is covered by the network of the blood vessel. Why it is covered by the network of the blood vessel? The reason is that whatever the material is taken out from the nephron will be reabsorbed into the blood capillaries. Let's suppose if the glucose is taken out from the renal tubule, that will be reabsorbed by the blood vessel. Whatever is actually taken out through the nephron will be reabsorbed by these blood vessels. Water, glucose, salt, or whatever. Okay, we know that the function of the kidney is the urine formation, and it is actually happening in the three steps: pressure filtration, selective reabsorption, and tubular secretion. So let's discuss what is a pressure filtration. Before going on, you should know the rule of the physics that when the area is getting smaller, the pressure used to increase. When the area is getting smaller, the pressure used to increase. So in this rule, we are going to learn that when the blood is entering from the arteries, the largest vessel, you know that the blood vessel, arteries, the renal artery to the renal arterioles, and from the renal arterioles, it enters to the network of the capillary, and that is known as the glomerulus. Now here what is happening, from the large area to the small area and to very small area, the blood pressure is actually increasing. The blood pressure actually increased. Due to the increased blood pressure, what is happening? The blood will force out water, salt, glucose, as well as the urea, the blood urea, into the Bowman capsule. It will take out. Basically, student, what is happening? There is a space present in the glomerulus and Bowman capsule. You know very well the C-cup shape like structure that is around the glomerulus is known as the Bowman capsule. Now basically, students, what happens when the pressure of the blood increases, it will force the water, salt, glucose, and the urea. The blood will force out water, salt, glucose, urea into the surrounding space. And this material will be taken by the Bowman capsule, and this is known as the glomerular filtrate. So what happens here, that when the blood is passing from renal artery to the renal arteriole, then to the network of the capillary called the Bowman capsule, when the blood pressure is going to increase due to what the water, salt, glucose, and the urea is taken out from the glomerulus. This material is known as the glomerulus filtrate. The material which is forced out from the glomerulus will be known as a glomerular filtrate. Then it will be taken by the Bowman capsule and then passed to the renal tubule. After that, students, what will happen? Here is the step where the blood filtration is going to occur in the Bowman capsule. Then from the Bowman capsule, the urine is going to pass into the proximal convoluted tubule, and here the reabsorption will occur, which we are going to study. Now the material is going to transfer to the proximal convoluted tubule. Now keep in your mind that these all nephron is covered by the network of the capillaries. This is basically the network of the capillary that is surrounding the nephron. After the pressure filtration, the material will move towards the renal tubule. And here the selective reabsorption will take place. Here the selective reabsorption will take place. But for the selective reabsorption, how it will occur? It will obviously occur by the help of the osmosis, diffusion, and the active transport. Osmosis, diffusion, and active transport. The waste material from the blood will be transferred towards the collective duct. But the material, let's suppose, which is required by the body like glucose, salt, electrolyte, will be reabsorbed by the network of the capillaries. Students, are you getting my point? The waste material will be transferred from the Bowman capsule to the renal tubule, and from the renal tubule towards the collective duct, and from the collective duct toward the pelvis, and then the pelvis to the ureter, and then the urinary bag. But the material which is required by the body like glucose, salt, electrolyte, and the other important material will be reabsorbed back by the network of the blood capillaries, by the blood vessels, and will be taken back towards the body. Is it clear to you? Now, what will happen? Basically, when the blood is going to transfer when the glomerular filtrate after glomerulus will enter into the Bowman capsule, and from the Bowman capsule into the proximal convoluted tubule. In the proximal convoluted tubule, the sum of the water will be reabsorbed back by the blood vessel, as well as the most of the glucose, as well as some salt by the help of the active transport. Whereas water will be reabsorbed back by the help of the osmosis. So, in the proximal convoluted tubule, the water, glucose and salt will be reabsorbed back and will be reabsorbed back by the network of the capillaries. So, this glucose and salt will be taken back by the help of the active transport, while water by the help of the osmosis. Know the 99%, student, keep in your mind that 99% of the water will be reabsorbed here in the renal tubule. Next to the proximal convoluted tubule, there is a loop of the Henle. One is the descending limb, another one is the ascending limb. In the descending limb, what will happen? The water will be reabsorbed back into the blood vessel by the help of the osmosis. While in the descending limb, what will happen? The salt will be reabsorbed back. The salt will be reabsorbed back by the help of the active transport. In the ascending limb, or in the ascending loop of Henle, the salt will be reabsorbed. Next to the loop of Henle, there is the distal convoluted tubule. There is a distal convoluted tubule where the maximum water is going to reabsorb back by the help of the osmosis. And after that, it will become the collective duct. So students, what we have learned that in the renal tubule, 99% of the water is going to reabsorb back by the blood vessel. This proximal convoluted tubule, here by the help of the osmosis, the water is going to reabsorb, and by the help of the active transport, the glucose and salt is going to reabsorb. Next to that, there will be the loop of Henle. In the descending loop of the Henle, the water is going to reabsorb by the help of the osmosis. In the ascending loop of the Henle, the salt is going to reabsorb by the help of the active transport. Next to that, there is a distal convoluted tubule which is going to reabsorb back the water by the help of the osmosis. Hope so you get that. Now the last step is the tubular secretion. Basically, what is happening in the tubular secretion? In the tubular secretion, many of the ions, like many of the, you can say, metabolic waste like creatinine, urea, uric acid and different ions are basically secreted towards the filtrate from the blood toward the renal tubule. Students, what is happening here? This in basically these all are the metabolic waste that is from the blood is secreted back toward the renal tubule, so that this waste is going to remove out from the body into the urine and from urine to outside of the body. So in the tubular secretion, these metabolic waste, for example creatinine, urea, uric acid and different ions from the blood vessels will be secreted towards the renal tubule. You know that these are the blood vessels. So from this blood vessel, it will be secreted into the renal tubule. These ions will be secreted towards the renal tubule. And then this material will be taken out from the body in the form of the urine. And whatever will be taken out from the renal tubule will be enters into the collective duct. From the collective duct into the papillary duct, and from the papillary duct to the pelvis, and from the pelvis towards the ureter, from the ureter toward the urethra, urinary bag, urinary bladder, and from that towards the urethra. So this is the way the urine used to form and removed out from the body. So let's summarize the topic. What is happening? The first step is the pressure filtration. In the pressure filtration, the filtrate is produced by the glomerulus and it enters into the Bowman capsule. From the Bowman capsule, it enters into the proximal convoluted tubule where 99% of the water is reabsorbed. And most of the glucose is reabsorbed by the help of the active transport as well as the salt. After that, the filtrate enters into the loop of Henle, and in the loop of the Henle, the water in the descending limb, the water is reabsorbed back, while in the ascending limb, the salt is going to reabsorb back by the help of the active transport. After that, what will come next? The distal convoluted tubule come, and in the distal convoluted tubule, the most of the water is reabsorbed back by the help of the osmosis. Next to that, then there is the collective duct. This collective duct basically now have the whole waste material, as well as the blood vessels which are surrounding the renal tubule will secrete the waste like creatinine, urea, uric acid and some ions towards the renal tubule, and this will be transferred toward the collective duct, and the collective duct have now collected the urine. This urine is going to transfer to the ureter, pelvis. From the pelvis, it will move towards the ureter. From the ureter to the urinary bag. From the urinary bag towards the urethra. And now urine is removed out from the body. Hope so you get the lecture. This is the urine which is going to form by the kidney. The composition of the urine is 95% water. The urea present in that is a 9 point per liter. Chloride ion 1.87 gram per liter. Sodium ion 1.17 gram per liter. Potassium ion 0.750 gram per liter, and other ions and compounds are in variable amount. Hopes you get the lecture, and if anything is not clear to you, then you can repeat or you can see the video again and again, and inshallah ta'ala you are going to get the lecture. So don't worry and stay relaxed. Just listen me very carefully and look at the videos very carefully and listen each and every aspect very carefully. One thing you have to keep in the mind is that reabsorption means that the thing which is removed out by the nephron will be reabsorbed by the blood vessels. Hope so you get that. Jazakallah khair.